live for our second HeelCast in 2 days. We did a show yesterday with myself, the AEW Impact Dude, Hurls, and Goldberg. Look for that show. The only problem is it actually ended up becoming the best show we've ever done because the Impact Dude's mic didn't record the entire time. So here we are back at it again. With me this time, I don't have Goldberg, but unfortunately, I did bring back Hurls. Hurls, what's up, buddy?
How's it going? I think this might be some HeelCast history, doing a show on a Friday.
Right, the invisible day that is Friday. And I've also brought back the Impact AEW brother _ dude, or whatever.
Mike Jack, Mike Jack. Can anybody hear me?
I can hear you.
Oh, you can hear me. Okay, good. I thought for sure y'all were going to say you couldn't hear me. That would have been better. That would have been better.
Yeah.
I'm going to miss Goldberg. I just got to say, his Jordan Grace tweet segment, we're going to have to find that clip and post that clip as its own thing, because that was just outstanding stuff.
It was pretty good. We're going to have to set up a new section for the show called Mean Jordan Grace Tweets or something like that.
I'm down. I'm definitely down with that. I have no problem with that.
So, like I said, we did do a show yesterday where we kind of covered the entire news going on. We recapped Dynamite. The dude's mic didn't work or didn't record or whatever. I believe we are going to post that show. So for those of you that want to check it out, we covered everything and went into a lot of detail and all that. It's a longer show. Feel free to check that out. The 8 of you that still listen to us and remembered we exist. But for the rest of you, we got the three of us back to talk about basically the two big things going on right now in wrestling. None of them having to do with the WWE, of course. So, fellas, are we ready to hop in?
Oh, fuck yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So, on Wednesday night's Dynamite, which aired 2 nights ago, Team Taz took on Cody Rhodes. I can actually call him Cody Rhodes again. And it's funny because now that we can call him Cody Rhodes, it's like I'm used to calling him Cody. And Darby Allin. After the match, after I believe Cody got the pinfall, the beatdown, of course, happened from Team Taz. The lights went out after Dustin Rhodes came out and started getting him some. And Hurls, what happened?
It's Sting! It's Sting!
Dude, you need to stop squeezing your balls when you talk.
Yes, Kiavan.
Ugh. It's the only way I can get that sound.
The Icon, Sting, debuts in AEW. It's huge, and in its own right, it's huge. I mean, look, he's a 61-year-old man, and from what we understand, he's not going to be able to really take bumps, but it's still Sting. It's the Icon. He's back on the network that Nitro is famous and big on, and with a better company that will probably not ruin his legacy just to, have a pissing contest with the company they've already defeated. Let's go back to Hurls. Hurls, your thoughts on the Icon Sting now in AEW?
It's a huge move, and when you hear Tony Khan wanted Sting because of the WCW lineage, it makes total sense. I think it's a great move. He's a legend. He still has that mystique about him where when he's on, you're just drawn to him. So I think it's a great move. I mean, obviously he's older now, but still, I mean, he can help out the young talent, get in a few matches. They can do some cinematic stuff. There's a lot of stuff they can do, and then obviously sell a lot of merch. So I think nice move and a big pickup for AEW. I really think it's a plus there.
Just what you guys are thinking about what you just said. You said Sting is how old again?
61.
61 or 62 is what I read.
Dude can collect Social Security next year. Yeah, I want you to just think about that for a second, because when he came out there, were you thinking, oh, here comes a dude that's on Social Security, or you're thinking, son of a bitch, he's going to kick everybody's ass in that ring? I mean, seriously.
Well, let's go with somewhere in the middle there, because I thought he couldn't kick anyone's ass in that ring. Well, maybe Darby.
Darby's Allen's ass? Oh, my God. my 10-year-old could kick Darby Allen's ass. I mean, Okay,
But
fine,
he
she's 11, but you
skateboards.
get the point. I mean, but seriously, like, dude is in amazing shape for a 61-year-old dude. He is. It's like, oh my God, that could be somebody's grandfather out there whooping some ass with a baseball bat. I mean, how cool is that? Now, all joking aside, the guy has set merchandise records on Pro Wrestling Tees since he's been there. So he knew what he was doing. He went to WWE to get that Legends deal. And AEW came along and said, or we could sell your merch. And he went, the hell with that shit, I'm out of here.
And good for him.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. I'm loving it. Look, I marked out like an 8-year-old boy, and you guys know it. I'm like, holy fuck, what is that? And Raven Effect, for those of you guys that aren't aware, he's not home watching the show. So he sees me marking out like the little boy that I am, and then he checks Facebook, and the whole thing gets ruined for him. I mean, you gotta figure, man, if I'm marking out like that, some idiot on Facebook, probably Hurls, is posting that Sting's in AEW.
Actually, the idiot that posted it was AEW's official Facebook page. So,
well, that could be Hurls too. No, not Hurls.
We know whose page Hurls is running. Pornhub. Y'all thought I was going to say Impact Wrestling.com. No, Pornhub.
There you go.
It's a great page though, Hurls. I gotta tell you.
Thank you. A lot of good content on there.
I'm just saying.
New stuff coming up daily.
By the time I got to like page 67, my meat was knocked out colder than Nate Robinson.
You made it to page 67. That's pretty impressive.
You know, you come so fucked up in the head, it takes a long time to find something you can actually jerk off to. It's a big deal, man. I mean, it's the stinger, the icon, and I mean, look, it's as far as mainstream appeal. That Mike Tyson's a bigger name overall for the world, but as far as wrestling goes, I mean, probably the biggest name they've ever had. You can argue Bret Hart or Diamond Dallas Page, but Sting is in AEW, and he's going to wrestle, he's going to perform, he's going to be around. Now they have said he can't really take bumps because of his neck or whatever, which is kind of what we expected. So my expectations is when he does wrestle, it's either going to be like the Bret Hart treatment when he came back to WWE, which I don't want to watch because it was hard seeing Bret Hart have to do that. And it's going to make the other guys look like they can't do shit to him. Or they can do the cinematic stuff, which I'm not a big fan of, but in this case, I'd probably take that. I mean, the guy's legacy is set. The WWE did what they could to ruin it because WCW, of course. But for modern wrestling, I don't know what good he's going to do physically inside the ring, but there's other stuff he could do to really elevate it. And we got an interview with him next week, which I'm excited for. I'm excited to see what he says, see everything there. It was more of like the kind of like the Crow Sting almost. Of course he came out in the character and all, but he was just silent the whole time. He stared down little Darby Allin for a long time. And of course, he's not knocking him, but of course, it goes along that he's in the angle with Cody Rhodes. What do you think about coming out to save Cody? What do we think about that, at least?
Honestly, I think it made a lot more sense as to why Darby Allin's been kind of hanging in the shadows and hanging where he is. I think he's here to be Darby's mentor. And I think that they're going to try to turn Darby into the next Sting. I think they're going to be disappointed because Darby Allin's no Sting. Okay, but I think he's here for Darby. I don't think he's here for Cody. I think he'll say something along the lines of, I know your father and I wrestled with your father and, because I'm really old and shit like that. But I think he is here to put Darby Allin on the map. They've already gotten behind the kid quite a bit. And the kid does have a certain bit of an it factor. He's just too small to go over, right? But I think he's here for Darby Allin. I don't think he's here for Cody.
Yeah, that's what I think. I think he's going to be Darby Allin's manager or at least maybe semi-tag team partner, depending on how physical he's going to get in the ring. But he's there for mentorship. And, why not? Like I said yesterday, the the 10 seconds where Sting got into Darby Allin's face made Darby Allin more relevant than he has ever been in his career. So already by that fact, it's a win. So, and I agree with you, AEW Pack Dude, that they're going to try with Darby, but the guy, he's so small. I don't mind him. I really don't mind him. But it's going to be very hard to put him over as a main eventer.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to be able to. I really don't. I mean, I appreciate the fact that they're trying, but I don't feel it.
I mean, they've been trying their ass off to make the guy a main eventer, and now it's like, here's the next straw. I've grown so done with Darby Allin. I kind of liked him at first, but now I'm done with it. I think it's a big mistake if that's the route that they're going to try and turn Darby into the next Sting or something like that, because he's not it. You know, there's plenty other people you could try to do that with, and he's not the right one. I mean, shit, if anything, he's kind of like Jeff Hardy, but he's not Jeff Hardy either. He doesn't have the factor that Jeff Hardy doesn't have the skill set, the look, any of it really. It's just
he's a skinny little kid that honestly, I mean, he has some natural charisma, but it's not enough. He doesn't have the mic skills, and honestly, Sting's never been the greatest talker either. I mean, you know, and that's about it with Darby. You know, I personally would rather see them give this push to Sammy Guevara. I think Sammy has a lot more upside. You know, I think if they could put a little bit of bulk on Sammy's body, and Sammy could be, you know, a bigger star. So that's where I'd rather see the push go.
All right. Are we going to see Darby Allin start doing the Stinger Splash and this and that, you know?
He might. Who knows?
I mean, Goldberg was kind of critical yesterday of the coffin drop. I mean, are we going to see him switch to the Scorpion Death Drop or the Scorpion Deathlock? You know what I mean? I hope not.
Nah, man. That's like taking AJ Styles and trying to turn him into Ric Flair. It just doesn't work.
Yeah, I was just thinking that. I mean, maybe he could do the Stinger Splash, but I definitely don't see the Scorpion Death Drop. He's too small. And Scorpion Deathlock, I don't know. Does he do? I mean, it doesn't seem like a submission type of guy. So maybe the Stinger Splash, though. I could see that.
Is he big enough to wrap you up?
He could. I mean, he could.
You know, he could get on like the middle rope and do a flying or whatever you want to call it, Scorpion Death Drop kind of a thing.
I mean, he'd have to, because if he tried to do the Scorpion Death Drop, it'd be like falling 6 inches. I mean, the guy's 4'7", man. Sting was bent over, and he still towered over Darby Allin when they had that stare down, you know. But it is interesting because Taz was trying to convince Darby to come to Team Taz, and now here's Sting. So Sting is going to get Darby Allin, right? And then they'll probably go and they'll probably feud with Taz and his crew, but with Sting being the spokesman for Team Sting.
Yeah, maybe a 3-on-3 match, or I mean, shit, could they do a 4-on-4 and put Sting and Taz in that match? I mean, Taz can't wrestle either because of his neck, and shit. I mean, Taz in ECW versus what Taz has become from WWE then to commentating. I mean, shit, it's literally a bowling ball.
I mean, Taz never had a neck to begin with, so I don't know how he has neck problems.
It's like King Kong Bundy almost.
You guys ever hear? Did you guys ever hear? Did I ever tell you guys how Taz got his break?
I don't think so.
He did. Stalking down Bill Apter.
Yeah, he was stalking Bill Apter in the supermarket at night, and Bill Apter was finally like, "Dude, you're stalking me. What's going on here?" He's like, "Oh, I'm an up-and-coming wrestler," and blah, blah, blah. And then Bill decided he liked him, and that's how Taz became Taz.
Wow.
I love Taz. I'm not even going to hate. I love Taz in ECW, man. Like, dude was badass. But those days are long, long gone. Agreed?
Yeah. Taz has done his thing, and now he's done. You know what I'm saying?
Maybe they're going to use Taz's son. You know what I mean?
I think they probably will. Him and Devon's son.
And whose side does Taz's son go to? You know what I mean?
Now you know who they need to bring in. They need to bring in. They need to bring in Cody Hall.
Which Cody?
Cody Hall.
Speaking of Cody Hall just signed with MLW today.
Did he really? Well, son of a bitch, I'm a day late. I see. If I'd have said this last night and we'd have put the show out last night, I'd have looked like a fool today. But I'd at least have had my moment. Shit.
Yep.
Another bit of news we didn't touch on last night's show is MLW Reboot starting next year. So props to them.
What about the NWA reboot? When's that happening?
Oh gosh.
Certainly not going to be happening on AEW from the sound of it. So.
I mean, you have to figure to yourself that Billy Corgan is watching what's going down with AEW and Impact right now, and he is literally just shitting his pants. He's shitting his pants. He's lost his shit. He's drinking into a drunken freaking stupor, and he has nobody to call because the only guy that was ever his friend, Dave Lagana, got fired because he decided to Me Too him, even though there never were any charges. And
meanwhile, Smashing Pumpkins are making one of the worst albums of all time.
I mean, again, and Billy Corgan is sitting there saying, we will work with anybody but Impact. Well, how's that working out for you now there, Billy?
So, Billy's got to feel like a rat in a cage right now.
Today was not the greatest day I've ever known.
Billy's got to feel like a rat up somebody's ass right now. I mean, just getting squeezed around in there. Son of a bitch. But you know what? Karma is a thing, and he is getting his karma at this point. He did not accept the fact that Impact just didn't think he was worth what he wanted, and he decided to go trash them, and now here we are, and the whole world is talking about Hurls. What's the world talking about?
They're talking about the partnership between AEW, Impact Wrestling, Don Callis, the Invisible Hand, and Kenny Omega.
So what is this Invisible Hand anyway? I mean, is this just like where he sticks down his pants all the time and, nobody can see the fact that he's playing with himself?
Well, that'd be something for Hurls to answer.
Is this a Joe Biden type of a knock where, he's always being handsy on somebody? Like, what is the Invisible Hand all about?
I don't know. I mean, when he started coming up with this name, it was he linked to like an old comic or like one of those old political, comic cartoons, whatever, drawings. And I guess he's the one pulling the strings, I guess, is what it's kind of referring to.
Oh, for God's sake.
So to recap, I mean, Kenny Omega defeated John Moxley into the world title reign of Moxley with help of Don Callis, and they fled the scene and said that Omega would be on Impact Wrestling this Tuesday to explain his actions, and now we are wondering if there is a legitimate partnership between AEW and Impact. Now we've seen different reports. I mean, the day after Meltzer came out and said that it's a long-term partnership, and then we saw a report from Wrestling Inc. today saying it's a one-off. But Omega is going to be on Impact this Tuesday, and that's it. And that we'll see the Good Brothers at some point in AEW. I hope for the Meltzer report to be the truth.
I said no one ever until tonight, until right now. So the first time anybody ever said that they hoped that Dave Meltzer wasn't full of shit. He usually is full of shit. That's why we say that, and we're right most of the time. But here on the HeelCast, we tell you both sides just so we can be right all the time. No, we don't do that. That's others. That's not us. Yeah, no. What?
That's an urban thing to do.
That's right. No, I mean.
Look, shit. If this is a one-off appearance, it's got to be the most Jacksonville Dixie thing you can imagine from Tony Khan. I mean, Impact literally gains all the benefit from this, if that's the case. I hope it's not fucking true. I really hope there's a partnership, because remember Tony Khan talked about the balance of power shifting, and then he brings in Sting, and then we have assuming there's a partnership now between AEW and Impact. That's a big fucking deal. That's something that hasn't been done by two American companies. New Japan and ROH did it, but this is different. This is American stuff with storylines. We can understand them. There's a lot of big things that could come out of this. And I really fucking hope that there's something in the works with this. I don't think that they would literally have their world champion win the belt and then go to Impact to explain everything just for a one-time fucking deal.
Nah, that would be really stupid, especially when you're newly minting him and Impact help him win the title to begin with. Look, what they need to do here, right? And this is kind of the fantasy situation, is they need to work together. And what I think would be a phenomenal way to do it would be bring back the Bullet Club. But you're going to bring back the Bullet Club with Omega and the Bucks from Impact and the Good Brothers and a couple of others, from AEW. Good Brothers and a couple of others from Impact. And then what you're going to do is you're going to have some crossover. But you're going to run this whole, the Bullet Club is running all of professional wrestling line, angle, which is very similar to the NWO, which is very much what Tony Khan is into is WCW. And he just brought back Sting, which was the face of WCW, throughout that whole NWO angle. It's kind of a reminder and a way to suck people in from that era, right? Now you repeat the NWO, but you do it in a current modern day, bigger scenario. So instead of them taking over WCW, they're taking over the world. They're taking over AEW, and they're also taking over Impact, right? Then, yes, you're going to trade some talent here and there, but you're going to run the storyline inside of both promotions. So the storyline becomes bigger than one promotion. It becomes multi-promotional. And that then allows the whole thing to just explode, right? And that is the way that you capitalize on this. You don't capitalize on this by doing yet another invasion angle. I know Hurls loves his invasion angles, and I know Raven Effect has been a huge proponent of every invasion angle that's ever been done. There's no need to do it here. Don Callis has taken over Impact as a VP. Kenny Omega is now the world champion of AEW. They are going to take this and run it across both promotions and take over both promotions. And so there's going to be no invasion, no good guy, no bad guy promotion. It's going to be a takeover of professional wrestling, hence the power shift. The power is going to shift to this super group that they're going to create. I really think that this is a very viable way for them to do it. I think if they did it, it would be a phenomenal storyline that could catapult them in the rating. Both companies, actually.
Yeah, it's almost like when the NWO, you just never know when they're going to show up and who they're going to beat up for the night. I think they could totally do that with this, and it's going to make both shows must-watch TV. It's going to only help. Obviously, it's going to help out Impact a lot, but RVE, you mentioned it last night. I mean, I'm sure there's some Impact fans that aren't watching it, AEW, so heck, if you can bring some of those fans over, it's a win-win. I mean, and plus, if you can share, the tag teams, main eventers, and the women's division, it's definitely going to help out AEW with theirs. So I pray that this is not a one-off. I think it would be very stupid if it was a one-off. And I don't necessarily know if the Wrestling Inc. story, they claim they have some inside source where they got this. I think they're full of BS. I'm just going to say right now.
Oh, it's clickbait, dude. It's clickbait. It's clickbait because everybody wants everybody wants the other way to be true. So now I'm going to clickbait you. I got an inside source. Oh, we were wrong. You know what? This is what people in wrestling do. They run their mouths as much as they can, okay? And when they're wrong, you never hear about it again. But when they're right, you heard it here first. Well, this whole thing about the new Bullet Club or the new NWO or whatever they're going to call themselves, right? You heard it here first on the HeelCast. You know what I'm saying?
Not me.
Yes, I do.
Here's the thing too, and I said this on the show yesterday: it's you have to continue and keep this going because look, at the end of the night on AEW, close out 2020 and head into 2021, the biggest heel in AEW is Impact Wrestling right now. You have the big swerve, they stole the belt, they run away with it. And let's talk Don Callis. Like apparently Don Callis wants to do the thing like with Bobby Heenan and Nick Bockwinkel. And look, Callis is no Bobby Heenan, but no one is. So let's cut that comparison out. But remember Don Callis when he first took over said his goal he wants to get Kenny Omega on Impact, and now it is. They talked about that 5-year plan when they took over, and I believe 2021 should be year 5. Here's a big thing for them now. They've got AEW. They got the solidified by far number 2 company, and there's a lot of the Impact marks that like hate AEW and have wanted to fail since day one. y'all better get down and kiss AEW's ass and suck some dick, because literally they just made your fucking company. This is the biggest thing to happen to Impact Wrestling in well over a decade.
He's talking to you, old school heel. He's talking to you, buddy.
I am not talking to
I mean, I'm just saying.
to
He
my
hates
pal,
it.
my pal OSH.
I'm just saying.
You know, like, it's funny too, because and look, I think they should do this like the New Japan ROH relationship. Was it they use the talent, share it back and forth, promote both companies, both brands. And FK9 made a joke, and people got all upset and butthurt with him on Asylum apparently about AEW needing to book it, because if it were up to Impact, Alicia Edwards would be the one to take the belt from Kenny Omega. It's funny. Leave FK9 the fuck alone. He's also got a point. And this does benefit Impact way fucking more than AEW, regardless of how this goes. If it's a one-off, it really benefits Impact more. But even with this, it puts so much more viewers on Impact. I think Impact's going to get their biggest rating they've gotten in a long time. Because you got a lot of people that watch AEW that do not watch Impact that are going to fucking tune in on Impact. But they get like 166,000 views. I bet you that doubles or triples their numbers. I bet you they get around 4,000 to 5,000, 100,000 this time.
And that would be, if they got 5,000, that would be bigger than any Pop TV episode. Because the highest one was the deletion episode with the Hardys.
I think the big thing here for Impact is exposure for the network. If they can bring their ratings up as much as they possibly can, then people will want the network on the next, higher tier at the next provider. And the biggest problem with Access TV right now is it's not available in enough homes. Like I don't get Access TV, right? And for me to get Access TV, I have to spend another $20 a month or something stupid like that just to get one freaking channel by buying another service, right? That I don't want. And I think that is the big end game here for Anthem, where Impact is just a vehicle to help Anthem. I do think, though, that don't discount what AEW is going for. AEW can kick the pants out of NXT, and if they do it over the course of the next couple months, having beaten them so many times, it's only a matter of time until TBS or USA, whoever it is that has NXT goes, okay, yeah, you're off, you're done, you're off of Wednesday night, and now they have no competition, and they can grow by taking that NXT fan base. So bear in mind that even if this angle only lasts a few months, AEW could literally get rid of competition, right? And Access has an opportunity to grow as well. So I think there's a lot more in this for AEW than what we may be giving them off the cuff credit for, right? But it's going to be, it could very well be huge for both. But a prolonged, a short term, very very short term Impact wins. Prolonged Impact also wins. But if it's that middle range that it's likely to be, AEW could come out of this thing rocking it.
Oh yeah, I mean, you bring in Sting. If this angle or whatever with Impact works out right, and then you get people tuning into Impact and getting invested in Impact, and then they're turning back in for AEW to see where it goes. Not only is Impact growing, but AEW grows to where NXT should literally never beat them again. After last night or 2 nights ago, I don't think NXT should ever fucking win again, to be honest with you. If they do, it's kind of a major flop. And I mean, look at Impact Plus has their own network. If these two merge, work together, whatever, you could get another show of AEW on there. Impact could get another show on AXS or Access or whatever. They're in Impact too. By this, they blow ROH, MLW, whoever out of the
NWA.
water, stick it to Billy Corgan, and possibly it devalues the New Japan fucking desire here in the U.S. that some people are into.
And another thing we didn't even mention was Impact is now finally reporting to Showbuzz Daily the TV ratings. So now we can kind of keep, actual track of what they're getting week to week. So that's kind of interesting in another aspect. So maybe Access, they're doing new things, trying new things that the channel never did before. And I totally agree with you. Impact Plus, they could, AEW's got 90 wrestlers on their roster, maybe more. They seem like they sign someone new every day that I've never heard of. But these guys, yeah, right?
I mean,
true.
It's
what
true.
Better, what better way to get these guys? I mean, they're not all going to make Dynamite. They're not all going to make Dark. Send them over to one of Impact Plus show. Heck, they could even get a match on Impact. Who cares? You're getting seasoning, and the wrestlers are getting a paycheck. I think it's a perfect opportunity for them to expand. And, maybe I hope it's a talent share of some kind, but obviously the greater picture would be the storyline of the Bullet Club. But this has a huge benefit to a lot of the talent in AEW as well.
I mean, you talk about a talent share. I mean, look, this for what as far as AEW's roster, there's 90 people on there, and they got a lot of talent. Their roster in comparison to Impact, it blows Impact away. But bringing over the Knockouts, which are far superior in Impact to the talent that's in the women's division on AEW, that helps them again. Maybe we don't have to actually have wrestlers come out and beg for the women's segment to not be the lowest watched on Dynamite now. Taya Valkyrie and Rosemary going in there, that fucking brings their division up a notch just by having those two. You look at the tag teams. You could bring the Good Brothers and Motor City Machine Guns over to feud with the Bucks. And you can send LAX, Lucha Brothers back to Impact
to get some
hybrid too and whatever. Private Party could shine over on Impact. The main roster can benefit. I mean, there's a couple people from Impact that could do good on AEW, but talking about what this could do for Impact's main roster, taking a lot of the AEW talent, it brings them up a bunch. It gives both promotions, especially Impact, more credibility. And you talk about, John Moxley got jumped the week of that contract signing or whatever with Omega. It's the person that did it, because it's, we got to assume it's been Omega. But Don Callis shouldn't have been the one to take him out. Moxley should turn around and beat Don Callis' ass. Could have been one of the Good Brothers, could have been Callahan, someone from Impact to do this. And it also gives the Callahan and Moxley reunion an opportunity too. Omega and whoever, in a tag team match against, John Moxley and a mystery opponent, and his mystery opponent ends up being a person from his past who's Sami Callahan. There's a lot of opportunities here for good fucking programming.
And, what I'll say too, though, about Impact is, they have a smaller roster. They got about 40, maybe 40 if you're including the knockouts. But the good thing about them, though, is they do try to include all the wrestlers on the show. So a lot of these guys have characters, and at least if they do go on to AEW, they're not just going to be, some no-name. I mean, they're going to be no-name in regards to people knowing who they are, but at least they can draw into that character.
They're not going to be no-names, but they're going to be no-names. But
I mean, they at least all have a character and a gimmick.
They know how to perform on TV. Damn it, they know how to perform on TV.
150. Yes, exactly. It's not gonna be Goldberg's 150 wins. Guys, some guys you never heard of.
I'm still stuck on Raven Effect when he said that they could take LAX and they could take the Lucha Brothers and put them over in Impact. And part of me is going, wow, the Lucha Brothers versus the Motor City Machine Guns. Now, there is a natural born match that everybody would want to see, except Jordan Disgrace, by the way, who has, if you folks check out her Twitter, and check out the other copy of this show that we put up, that Goldberg starts talking about it. It's amazing what her dream. Who did she have in a cinematic match again? It was Darby Allin versus Crazy Steve. Is that who it was? In a cinematic match, and then the mask comes off, and it was versus Suicide. Darby Allin versus Suicide in a cinematic match, and at the end, Suicide wins, takes the mask off, and reveals that he's really Darby Allin. I digress. You can't make that shit up.
Booker, we're done.
If she ever becomes a booker, whoever she books to will just be out of business. Like Vince McMahon should be paying her to book for Impact right now. Like, I'm just saying, he should be hoping that she gets that job. But seriously, part of me thought that the Lucha Brothers and the Motor City Machine Guns would be a heck of a match, and the other part of me is like, well, hey, maybe they could just I don't know, get the ring dust off of them, because they've been the ring rust. Dude, they've been wrestled between them and LAX. Those guys are barely in the freaking ring. We get the Butcher and the Blade every week. I mean, hey, dream matches with the Butcher and Blade every damn week. But I haven't seen Pentagon Jr. in a while now.
He was on 2 weeks ago.
Was he really? It doesn't feel like it.
He wrestled Phoenix. Yeah, Pentagon and Phoenix have been heavily involved.
He wrestled Phoenix, and he wrestled Phoenix like a month ago. or more.
Right before the pay-per-view, and then they wrestled Butcher and Blade. They've been having that storyline with Kingston and Pac.
Yeah, but that's been him. That's been Phoenix and Pac though. I don't think I've seen, because Phoenix had a singles match against somebody, and then he had the tag match, and Pentagon's been missing in action. It's like, dude, he's like one of the top performers in the freaking world. Put him on the fucking show.
What show are you watching?
Watching AEW. What show are you watching?
The same fucking one, but I've seen, other than last week, Pentagon and Phoenix have been on there like every week.
What about LAX? They've been on there at all?
I mean, they've been in cameos, but yeah, they don't get used for shit. But I mean, one thing I wanted to bring up too, you know, like you have the Death Triangle now is back, which they left Kingston. So now you have Kingston, Butcher, and Blade, just three, you know, Kingston and two bombs. You could take some of those people from Impact to grow in that faction to kind of make it a little bit better. You know what I mean? And there's just a lot of possibility. You can get Rosemary and Allie back together. Hell, we could finally see that feud on big time TV, even though neither company fucking uses either of those girls properly. But you know, you talk about like
you'd have to call her the Bunny though. She has to be the Bunny because remember she died in Impact.
Apparently, Impact kills plenty of people off. So.
Yeah, I was gonna say, Hurls, let's talk about killing people up. What's this deal with Johnny Bravo and the whole bullshit about who shot Johnny Bravo anyway?
Way to put me on the spot because I'm 2 weeks behind, but yeah. So they were having their wedding ceremony, and then James Mitchell was
officiating.
You know, whatever. Yeah, officiating, and lights go out. Johnny Bravo's on the ground with blood on his chest, and they've been doing like this. Tommy Dreamer's been doing this detective thing where he's trying to find out who shot him, and I honestly don't know because I haven't watched yet. I think it was revealed, but I don't know.
I read something online from somebody that swears up and down it should have been Andrew Everett. I don't get it.
Oh, Paul, please.
Okay, should have been Andrew Everett. I think because of all the talent that Andrew Everett has showed over the years, right? But it should have been Andrew Everett instead of like it was like nothing, or they blew it off or something. I don't know. Is Johnny Bravo alive again, or is he truly just dead?
I mean, I haven't seen him since, but.
I'm thinking you know what they're going to do? They're going to send him into the undead realm.
Undead realm.
And Allie's going to be there, and they're both going to get out together.
Yeah. There you go.
All right.
Well, James Mitchell was killed off, and then Rosemary brought him back to life. So anything could happen in the undead realm.
I mean, it's all, and they're going to have to bring Matt Hardy into it too, right?
I was just going to say Lake of Reincarnation, right?
There we go. They're like a reincarnation. You heard it here, folks, on the HeelCast. We said it first. Johnny Bravo goes into AEW's Lake of Reincarnation via Matt Hardy through the undead realm, and he comes back. We don't know what the hell he does when he gets back. He might be a wrestler. He might be a referee. He could be a horrible manager. You know, he's going to be terrible no matter what he does because, you know, that's is Johnny Bravo, right? But you heard it here on the HeelCast first.
You know, and one thing too, though, I mean, you look at if in fact this is a partnership, the benefits and nostalgia you could do with Impact. I mean, you could get broken Matt Hardy back in Impact. You could get Sting back in an Impact ring. I mean, you're getting Kenny Omega, which is a big deal. You know, you maybe ever to get John Moxley on there. I mean, there's a lot of possibility, a lot of good stuff that could be done that should really help both companies. And it's gonna be a fucking shame if this doesn't end up working.
I mean, it's going to be hard for Impact to be able to pay the rights fees to be able to get Sting and Moxley, you know, and some of these guys for more than, you know, an episode each. I mean, I think that's going to be difficult for them to handle. They don't have the budget for it. As much as we would like to think that this is a partnership, you know, if I'm going to send my talent, you're going to pay my talent. If I'm going to take your talent, I'm going to pay your talent. Well, somebody got a heck of a lot more money, you know, to put out than the other does. But
well, then maybe, I mean, they might be able to afford Matt Hardy. Sting is a total different thing, but
Matt Hardy, yes.
I mean, one or two shows with the Broken Brilliance or something. I mean, it doesn't have to be all the time, but I mean, there's definitely plenty of talent on AEW from the mid card down that they can pay for. I mean, I'm sure Sting and John Moxley or whatever they can't afford, but for fuck's sake, they've got Kenny Omega. I'm sure he's not cheap.
Well, not only that too. I mean, you don't need to bring Sting out for a random Impact. Just bring him out for Slammiversary or Bound for Glory. Just one of those. I just want to see him,
or something.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just, God damn it. This is a one-off. It's so disappointing. It's got me interested. Look, I switched my Sling out for YouTube TV. Wasn't thinking about it. I lost access. I haven't watched Impact in a couple months, since September at least, so almost 3 or 4 months now. I'm going to fucking sure as shit tune in on Twitch on Tuesday. I'm going to see what happens. And I'm hoping that this continues. This is so big for wrestling overall. If they could do this, and they are, what a dick tease and a letdown for it to just be a one-off thing if that's true. You think about how cool it would be to see Eric Young on TNT, on a big network, and obviously he got there at WWE, but WWE fucking, did what we expected them to do with him. I mean, to let Eric Young be Eric Young and do what he does.
Right.
Think about like Omega and Eric Young against Callahan and Moxley, and then you could start a feud in Impact with Callahan and EY, which should be a given. There's a lot to go with this.
I don't necessarily feel. I mean, it's nice for Eric Young and Chris Sabin and Alex Shelley, but I mean, they were on a big network with Spike. I mean, they were getting like 1 million viewers at that time. I'm more interested in guys like Eddie Edwards. Well, I guess he was on Spike too at the end, but some of the younger guys that are going to get a chance to shine on TNT, I think that would be really cool. And that's why I'm hoping this thing is not a one-off, and because if it is a one-off, then we have other things to talk about with the whole Don Callis situation. I found that very odd. If he's an EVP, and you kind of alluded to it earlier in our chat, AEW Pack Dude, with EVPs do have contracts, so it's not unheard of. So I find that very odd if Don Callis would actually be a free agent, because it kind of seemed like him and D'Amore were put there to run the ship. So
I mean,
that's why this story just to me doesn't make sense.
If you hire me in, right, to do a job for you, I'm the best job I can. But if we then don't come to terms and I got a couple months left, I'm not going to be inclined to pull strings for you at this point to turn your world upside down when you weren't willing to pay me what I thought I was worth to begin with. And now I'm going to hand it to somebody. That's just not the way that it works. It's like, look, Kenny, I'm going to come to AEW with you here in a couple months, and we're gonna hook up. And you could do the same thing, and you could help Kenny Omega win the title without involving Impact Wrestling. So I find this very hard to believe that he's leaving, But it could be a storyline too, where my contract's up, so now I'm taking over the world of wrestling. And he becomes the Eric Bischoff character, right, behind the NWO. I mean, so it could be that this story that you're seeing coming around is the kayfabe storyline that they're trying to play through the public. Anything's possible.
Yeah, the thing too. If you look at, I was just going to say that if you look at Impact, on one show you could possibly have your Impact, your TNA, and your AEW World Champion all on one show. That's pretty unprecedented. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Big deal.
Yeah. Yeah, and it hasn't been done since WWE, and that was just one company. That wasn't two companies working together. I mean, Ric Flair did it back in the early 90s when he took the WCW title over there. But you've never had this where it's that many champions on one show. So
you can have AEW or Don Callis and Kenny Omega recruiting AEW talents over to work for Impact and vice versa. It's a good way to kind of split things up and twist it around, and there's a lot of possibilities they could go. They could do the invasion thing, they couldn't. There's so much to gain here as for the business overall. And I just think if you're not going to do what it seems, you're letting everyone down and really doing this for no reason other than to benefit one company.
Yeah, and I think this. I mean, obviously, with guys like D'Amore and Callis, when they've shown they want to work with companies, and Tony Khan wants to work with companies. I think this is a really good part. This could be a really good partnership because, Impact has its own network. They don't have to answer to anyone. So they can kind of do whatever they want. Tony Khan, he's super good friends with TNT. He just signed a new deal, so it's a win-win. And if this report is a one-off, I think everybody's going to be disappointed. I'm sure Tony Khan would know that. So I think he wants to keep this thing going for a while.
If you're gonna say that balance of power needs to shift, then do it.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, right now it looks like it's shifting.
Right. Well, I mean, too, if you look at Ring of Honor, at MLW, Impact, or what, you can argue who's bigger between ROH or Impact or whatever. Does it really matter? But Impact has a better roster by far. I'll take the Impact talent over anything in Ring of Honor that's not named EC3 and be good with it. Sucks for Dez and Wentz for leaving at the wrong time if this is the case, too.
Oh, well.
I'm sure 205 Live is going to be worth it.
I mean, that's the way, baby. That's the way.
Yeah, it'll be about 2 years before you even see them on NXT.
I think they're strictly 205 Live. I bet you they don't even do shit with them after NXT or whatever.
No. Yeah, you're probably right. Just send them right to 205 Live.
Yep. Let them do some flips and call it a day.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's going to be the way that one rolls. I mean, this whole ending to Dynamite is, let's face it, guys, this is the most exciting thing that's happened in wrestling in as long as I can remember. Right? I mean, since Bash at the Beach '96, right? Has anything bigger happened in wrestling?
I mean, WWE did buy WCW.
Fuck that! I don't remember that. I've conveniently forgotten that. I will never acknowledge that happened.
You've never had it where it was. I mean, that ECW invasion to WWE was nothing like putting the world champion on Impact. You did not have that you didn't have WWE's champion, at least RV, you can correct me, go over to ECW. I mean, who would it have been? Undertaker? Shawn Michaels?
Yeah.
I don't think they went over to ECW.
No,
they sent them Jerry the King Lawler and Jake the Snake Roberts.
Yeah. See,
Yeah.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah. It's crazy stuff, and it's a fucking A. I mean, like, we kind of expected maybe something might be in the works with AEW and Impact, but I mean, who would have thought that they would have Impact's top guy, top official, help Omega win the world title, and then take it directly over to Impact? Leaves the company and goes to Impact with it. That's huge. That's the rub.
That tells me, too, that Don Callis earned Tony Khan's trust pretty quickly.
That might be a big mistake on
it did not hurt that he had Omega and Jericho in his ear.
And the Bucks. And the Bucks, apparently.
And the Bucks, yeah, because he was an NJPW guy. So, and that means probably Cody likes him, too.
Yep. And then who's the top guy? I mean, who are, this is kind of their brainchild almost with Tony Khan's power. That makes a lot of sense. They got a lot of pull, and that's one of the only reasons this was able to happen like that. So
it almost kind of makes you wonder if, I realized that when Ed hired Don and Scott, he was looking at Don in particular because he was working with New Japan Pro Wrestling, and he knew that New Japan was hot. And I think that he looked at Callis as the guy that could help him kind of, do that in his Canadian company, because, of course, Callis is Canadian. And so, you have to figure that was part of Ed and Len's plan to begin with, but it also kind of makes you wonder if they didn't figure at some point in time these guys were going to come back to the U.S., maybe do something different. You don't know if any plans had been laid 5 years ago for any of this stuff, right? It's hard to imagine that it was, but All In, right? That was not like just randomly done, right? That tweet that I can get 10,000 people to a show was well thought out in advance. And it just makes you wonder if this wasn't, I don't want to say, not they expected there was going to be an AEW on TNT, it was going to build their company, but if they didn't realize that these folks in New Japan could be a huge asset to them, and that's why they brought Callis in. And maybe at the time they were just hoping to maybe steal the Bucks, maybe get AJ Styles back. You know what I'm saying? And
they're
some of those
still
folks.
trying. They're still trying, apparently.
But it just kind of makes you wonder if that wasn't kind of part of the plan for Don Callis, and then it happens to manifest itself in a different form later. And that's what a lot of times happens, right? You plant the seeds that it grows into a different plant, but it's like, hey, I'll take that plant. That might be a better plan.
Yeah, I think Don Callis in an interview said he believes he would have had Kenny Omega and Jericho if it wasn't for AEW. So what's the next best option? Partner up with AEW, just like you said.
When I think Impact's wanted that partnership for a long time.
I think everybody wants that partnership.
And if that's not going to, they want a New Japan. If that's not going to work out, why not get something that's even bigger and better?
Right.
At least for their audience.
I was going to say, they struck out with New Japan. I even think Olive Branch was extended to Ring of Honor, and they didn't want anything.
Nope.
So what do you end up with? Oh, you end up with AEW. Not a bad third option.
But part of this, I mean, and let's give some credit to Scott and Don, because they did some things when they first got there that were like, how's this really benefiting you by working with all these indie promotions, right, and being good partners to them. But what they did was they laid the groundwork that they're a good partner and they can be trusted. And so Tony Khan looks at this and he goes, well, he's always worked with everybody else well in the past. Why not? And so, yeah, they did some things for some indie companies that they really didn't get much out of. Maybe some house shows to help them get their house show stuff streaming, going again a little bit more organically, right? But they proved that they could be good partners. And so when it comes time to work with Tony Khan is like, hey, I can do this. Versus, maybe with some of the others, be like, I don't know.
This would have never happened in 2017, right after they took over the company. I mean, obviously AEW wasn't around, but they had to do some work and they had to do some image repair from, the stories that you would hear out of Dixie, where, a lot of them weren't too well. They didn't treat their partners too well, even though I don't really think that was a big deal, not treating New Japan that well. But, so they had some image. They had repairs to do, and I think they did that pretty well, at least.
You know what this does? It washes that TNA stink off of the company for good.
I mean, let's let it play out first.
Yeah, I was just gonna say as long as it delivers, right?
as long as Impact doesn't book it.
If this thing goes into 2021 and we're still talking about this next year by this time, and they have some really good cross-promotional matches, yeah, I think so.
I mean, this is Impact. We're talking about RVE. Anything is, this is Impact. Let's not count our chickens before they hatch.
Well, let's not give AEW a 100% pass too. They've definitely done some dumb shit too already.
Yes, they have.
But they're clear as day the number 2 company that WWE is fucking sweating the way Impact used to be.
I just want to know, are we finally going to get that Nyla Rose Jordan Disgrace dream match we've been waiting for?
Oh.
Yep, on Access TV.
That's right.
Please, no.
Live on Twitch.
I don't want the native beast.
On an Impact Plus special that will be watched and jerked off to by Cody and Cole. And Hurls.
And Larkin. Don't forget Larkin.
I don't do that style.
And I know Larkin's listening too. And I know he likes him some Jordan Disgrace, so
Everybody, yeah.
That was pretty good. That was pretty good, Hurls.
That was basically
Right.
Backstreet Boys going grunge. Right
Can
there.
you dance when you do that too?
At least another
Absolutely not.
70 pounds. She'd be Larkin's dream woman.
We should do a dream cross promotion with Max Wrestling. We can do that now that Butcher's not around, right?
I would think so. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We should work on that.
Let's get our own inner promotion going.
That's right.
Right. Well, so, gentlemen, is there anything else we want to chime in and add before we cut show number 2 off?
No, but what I'll do is I'll put show number 2 out a day after I put this one out, so they don't get confused. And you guys can look for that
on YouTube, everywhere else, Asylum, Google Play, iTunes, whatever. You listen to the HeelCast on, all 12 of you.
That's right. We'll see if we can't get it put up. Hey, Hurls, you can put it up on the UWN.
UWN.
Yeah, on Facebook.
Oh yeah.
Cool.
Yep, I got you.
Yeah.
Yep.
Check out our boy.
Real quick
hey,
though.
real
I got
quick.
one last thing to say. I just want to talk about Impact. Like, I know we were kind of discussing this in the chat. What do you think Impact should do as far as the Kenny Omega stuff
So, I mean,
to keep the viewers engaged?
I think they should air it.
I mean, obviously.
I
So
mean,
you're saying like multiple angles, keep it towards the end, or
Yeah, you do. You do a couple little small segments. You keep the audience that is tuning in, that it doesn't watch Impact regularly, that is in there to see what happens. You keep them intrigued to see what it is. You put it on at the very fucking end of the show, and you get them, and you put on the best fucking Impact you've put on in a long time. So if it is a one-off, if nothing else, people are like, damn, maybe I should still watch Impact next week.
and you know what you don't do? You don't tell everything. You give them a reason to show up for Dynamite, and then you give them a reason to show back up to Impact next week. Because that's the bottom line is that it can't just be a tell-all and we're done. No. Everything's got to be teased. So they're gonna tease it. He's gonna show up. Something's gonna happen to spark interest in Dynamite, right? There's gonna be some sort of a cliffhanger, and you're gonna want to have them tune back into both shows next week. Anything else is a mistake.
Agreed. But if I'm Impact right now, I'm throwing another surprise in there, similar to what AEW did with Sting. I don't know if you could get Kurt Angle, but if you were somehow able to get Kurt Angle, because the negotiations were happening, I would do exactly what AEW did with Sting. I'd throw Kurt Angle out there.
Well,
I think that would be huge.
If you're gonna throw Kurt Angle out there, then you're gonna do it completely different. Omega's gonna come. You're gonna tease him. About halfway through the show, Omega's going to be the one that gets laid out. And you're going to tease what happened. And at the end of the show is going to end with all you see is Kurt Angle. Kurt Angle never has to speak. He never has to do anything because now you got to tune in next week to see Impact, to see what's going on with Kurt Angle. And then you got to tune into Dynamite to find out what's going on with Omega because Omega never said anything. If it's Kurt Angle needs to lay out Omega. So nothing happens.
You stand over him and say, "Oh, it's real. It's
damn real." And you heard that first here on the HeelCast, folks. We called it.
Yes.
When it happens.
Could you imagine how
right.
hot wrestling would be in a span of a week if that happens? Like this momentum would be huge if they somehow did that.
I'm gonna say that if they cannot get Kurt Angle, they need to get Shark Boy.
That's right. Shell yeah.
That's a hell of a plan B.
Shell yeah.
Speaking of plan B, Jordan Grace's parents should have used that.
Larkin's loving that shit. So anyway, to answer your question, Hurls, I think you're going to tease it, and I think you're going to just say enough to get people to be sucked in for next week. And what everybody has said ever since Wednesday is this needs to be the best Impact that those folks have ever done. Period, end of story. It needs to be an amazing Impact for Impact's sake.
I think the card looks pretty good.
You got Saban versus Alexander. I think that's going to be. I would imagine that's probably going to be your main event, but I think that.
God. Sorry, that's not putting asses in the seat.
Damn it.
That ain't putting asses in the seat. I mean, it didn't when he was world champion either. I should add.
That is true. However, the circumstances behind that match are a little different since it is a tag team feud. So
yeah,
it's not as high up.
Yeah, but they got to do something.
Yeah, I agree. You got to hook the viewer while you have that AEW crowd. That's why I'm saying go balls out. Give Kurt Angle as much money as he wants. I don't care. Get him on there on Tuesday. Hook the viewers even more. Hook the AEW crowd that's going to tune in for the first time. You got to do something big. Why not?
Amen. All right, guys. Anything else?
Nah, man. We did good on time tonight. We did good.
Well, hopefully, we're gonna run this back next week. We definitely need to do a year-end review and close out an award show in typical HeelCast fashion. Until then, tune into Impact, tune into Dynamite, don't tune into WWE, and tune into the HeelCast. And check out Andre Corbeil, who's our boy, who's going to be putting the show on the air, of course. On behalf of Goldberg, who's not here with us today, Griggs, Hurls, AEW Impact Dude, RVE out.
See ya.